Hey guys, it's Sam. Sorry planner friends, this is not going to be a planner video, not my usual content, but I did promise to do some updates on my health and weight loss journey, and so this video is going to be about that. So if you're interested in hearing about my journey and some questions that I have been asked that I'm going to be answering in this video, I hope that you will stay tuned. The sun is actually shining in Ohio in the winter today, so I decided that it would be a really good time to do a face video. So that's why I chose to do this today. Before I get started, I wanted to just mention a couple of things. One, I am definitely not a doctor, and this is in no way meant to be any kind of medical advice. And secondly, I really don't know how this video is going to go. I got a lot more questions than I thought that I was going to get about this over on my Instagram. And so I'm not sure if this is going to be like a longer video or if this is going to have to be split up into two parts. I'm going to try to give as short of an answer as possible with still having the details that I think the person who asked the question would be looking for. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm just going to go in order of the questions that came in through Instagram. There was a lot of questions about the way I eat. I give the whole backstory about like my history and how I ended up eating keto in my previous video, which I'll go ahead and put that in the description box so that it's easy for you to find if you're new here. But so I'm gonna not go over like any of that preliminary stuff. I'm just gonna go based on the questions that were asked in my Instagram stories. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the first one. What is your typical day of food and intermittent fasting window? So I do both things. I eat keto and I intermittent fast. And I will say that another question that I think goes with this one that has been asked, so I'll just answer it together, is that I do not count anything day to day. I generally do eat a lot of the same things, and so I know that I'm eating about-ish 20 to 30 grams of net carbs a day. And there are some times where I just do a quick check-in to see where I am to make sure that I'm not messing around with that number, because I do have a weight loss goal, and the more carbs you eat, if you are sensitive to carbs like me, the slower your weight loss will be. So I do try to keep it in that, but I'm trying to get away from a constant counting of anything in my life. So I don't count them, but my typical day of food and my intermittent fasting window goes most days like this. And I will note that this is going to be different for every person. My fasting window has changed with change of job and my like daily schedule. So this is my schedule right now. So I get up in the morning at 6 o'clock, and I used to always eat breakfast. That's the meal that I skip now with this current schedule that I'm on. And so I get up at 6 and I just get up and get ready for the day. I don't eat anything, and I don't really drink anything either. I might have a sip of my water. I always have my water with me now, so it's never far away. If I'm thirsty in the morning, I'll have a sip of water, but that's gonna be about it. So I just get up in the morning and get showered and get dressed to go to work. And my very kind and loving husband gets my stuff ready for me. And my usual is that I have my water with me in the morning, and this I will drink all day. So this is a 40-ounce Stanley, and this gets filled with spring water and crushed ice. And this electrolytes that we're currently using, this is from Dr. Berg, and there's a lot of like different opinions about which is the best electrolyte, but the important thing is that when you're doing keto, you need to have that electrolyte in your system or you'll get a bunch of foot and leg cramps. So you might get them anyway, but this definitely helps with that. So this has magnesium, it's sweetened with stevia, it's keto friendly, it's not going to break your fast. I do also like the Element brand, but this is a lot more cost friendly for somebody like me with a large family. And the Element, I think, maybe makes me feel a little bit more hydrated than this one does, and it's definitely saltier. I do know that there are people who are more sensitive to salt, and so that might be one that if you are sensitive to salt, you might want to stay away from that one. But for me, I'm not salt sensitive. I actually crave salt a lot, so the Element was good. I tried the assortment pack, the try them all pack, and the favorite of that one for me personally was the citrus salt, but this is the one I get from Dr. Berg. You can find that on Amazon. I usually just order it straight from his website, but this is the lemonade. I have heard that this is the sweetest tasting. Again, it's sweetened with stevia, and I like it to have a little bit more strong of a lemonade taste to it. So my husband does put this together in the morning for me with 1 scoop of the electrolytes and then some lemon. And that would increase your carb count for the day. But again, I generally am drinking this, unless it's a really thirsty day, I'm generally drinking this the whole time I'm at work. And then I add to it in the evening. And so for me, drinking, I don't know, a couple tablespoons of lemon over a course of an entire day, I don't think that that really messes with my carb count for the day. So that is what I'll be drinking on my way to work. Then when I get to work, I have a container with, again, thank you, dear husband. I have a container that contains 2 tablespoons of this toasted marshmallow nut pods and 2 tablespoons of the zero sugar vanilla Torani syrup. And I will say that I have gotten really careful about the ingredients that are in my food since going keto. And that's kind of been a progression of things. When you're looking at what you have that you're putting in your body, you just start looking at all of the other things out there that you're putting in your body. So this one in particular is keto friendly, and you have to be careful because you can still be fasting and have a little bit of this, but this, even though it has like a 0 carb count, there's like minuscule amounts of carb, and so I don't want to go over into breaking my fast. So I'm drinking my coffee still while I'm fasting, and 2 tablespoons of this and 2 tablespoons of this are just fine. Now you can find these at grocery stores that are just on the shelf, but this is in the refrigerated section, and this is the kind that I would recommend. And you could just drink black coffee, but I don't like black coffee. So yeah, so I just bring like a pre-portioned container to work with me. We do have a coffee bar at work, so I just take my little creamer up to the coffee bar and pour it in and brew some coffee. So that is what I do every single day. That doesn't ever change. And so I usually break my fast at our lunchtime. I go to lunch with a group of coworkers. They have like a kitchen or whatever there, cafeteria, and that's at 11:30. So I try to stop eating at 6, and so it just depends on what time I stopped eating. My goal is around 17, 18 hours for my fast on most days, but I will say that I have started altering my fasts. It used to be that I ate 6 hours and I fasted 18 hours, and it was always the same. But I found some information that said that, that's putting your body into the same, we know exactly what's happening, and it's going to learn to hold on to some fat stores still. So I have decided to switch up my fasting, and that's what I've been doing for several months now. So most days I follow that same pattern. I stop eating at 6 and I start eating around 11:30. And that's the way it goes most days of the week. On Saturday, I usually fast a little bit longer, and then on Sunday, I don't fast at all. It's usually still at least 12 or 13 hours on Sunday, but it's no longer a real fast. And I do try to get in 3 meals a day on Sunday just to switch things up for my body. But most other days I'm eating 2 meals a day. And I do kind of limit my fasts. I know there are a lot of people that do longer fasts. My longest has been 23, a little over 23 hours. I personally am really careful about that because I do have a history of eating disorders. And so I just kind of listen to my body. And if my body or my brain are trying to panic about it or start thinking in an unhealthy way about the fasting, because the point of fasting is to keep your insulin really low and to let your body get to the fat and use the fat stores. And so if I'm starting to think about it in a different way, that would be close to an eating disorder, I stop and I eat my food. I stop my fast. So if you don't have a history of eating disorders, that might be something that you're more comfortable with doing, you know, a 24-hour, a 2-day, a 3-day fast. But for me, at least at this point, that is what I'm comfortable with doing. All right, so the next question is about tips for staying on plan. And it's always hardest to get started. I will say that, but I would definitely suggest learning to read labels and then reading every label. I just recently discovered that some of my favorite nuts that I used to get all of the time, they're smokehouse almonds from Blue Diamond. I loved those nuts for years, and at the beginning of my keto journey, I was eating those. But if you read the label, there's bad seed oils in there that I don't want to consume any longer. So it's kind of something that you thought that you could eat. I mean, you still can, but I just choose to keep away from ingredients like that. So learn to read labels and read every label. The other thing is just making sure that I have enough fat in my diet. Fat does not raise your insulin, and so that's what helps keep you in ketosis, and also it keeps you feeling full longer. So add fat to your meals. Make sure that you're eating fatty meats instead of like skinless, boneless chicken, or if you're eating that kind of meat, then you need to add fat to it. So we eat a lot of red meat now. I crave it a lot more than I do chicken. I think that my body is craving the fat. My other suggestion is definitely drinking the electrolytes, because if you're eating keto, then your water is not going to stay in you because carbohydrates hold your water in. I know that it's probably not something that most people on a keto lifestyle would suggest, but for me personally, so I really struggled with my blood sugar dipping. I wasn't diabetic, but I definitely did not have stable blood sugar. So I would be hangry, which is another sign that you are not dealing with your insulin. All that stuff is all messed up. Again, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to give you like doctory sounding terms, but I would wake up hungry and I would feel kind of, I have to eat, and then I would eat, and then before lunch my blood sugar would be crashing. And so that is a sign that I can't eat the way that I was eating, but I didn't know it, of course. But I knew from trying to eat lower carb in the past that I definitely have a tendency to deal with keto flu, and I was terrified of doing that because I didn't want to fail, and I figured if I felt like that I would fail. So what I did at the beginning especially is I ate berries, and at the very beginning I ate berries with breakfast and I ate berries at lunch, and sometimes I'd eat a few berries at dinner, and it was never like a huge amount. It was just a few to get me through, and like I said, most keto people would not tell you to do that, but definitely was helpful. And berries are on keto because they are a lower carb fruit. It's just, you know, you can't eat a bowl of them. But I think that especially if you are missing the taste of something sweet, or you're worried about your own blood sugar having crashes, then I would keep berries on hand, because it definitely, I didn't have the keto flu at all when I started this, which was kind of, I think that it was a game changer, and I really do usually attribute it to keeping berries in my diet when I started. And then staying on plan, those were like my, you know, make sure you're having your electrolytes. You might keep salt nearby. That's at the beginning. But as far as tips for staying on plan now, I would say I just go with that I feel amazing now, and thinking about how I used to feel. I used to have a lot of inflammation. I had a lot of pain in my joints, and I am not 20, but I thought that I felt worse for 45, or at that time 44, than I should have. And those things are just, they're gone now. I don't struggle with them anymore. And that change happened really, really quickly. So the weight loss takes a while, but within the first 2 weeks, I was completely different. And it's only gotten better since then. So if you're struggling with anything like that, there are things that will take a while on this journey, but some things are going to happen really quickly. And it's really nice when those things don't take forever to notice. Another person asked about what about our kids. So we have a large family. We have 6 children, and most of our children are adults now. Most of them still live at home. We don't try to control what they bring into the house, but we control what we buy. The way we do it is we're eating that way. The kids aren't eating that way for the most part, but we're going to make a burger or make a non-breaded kind of meat. And then whatever we're doing, if we're having broccoli or cauliflower or salad or whatever, we might sometimes have a starch for them. So roasted potatoes. Sometimes we do buy them a little bit of pasta to go with a meal. But so they're not eating the way that we're eating, but we have like the baseline of the meal be keto, and then they can add to it if they want to. So yeah, we haven't forced them into it, but we've definitely cleaned up what's coming into the house, at least for what we're buying. Let's see what the next question is here. How to keep going when you hit a plateau. Okay, so that's a good one. I have had several plateaus, and most of them being within the last 4 months, I would say. And for a while I was just kind of going with it, and I was, looking at the long term rather than the short term weight loss. But it was getting a little bit I was getting a little bit discouraged because the scale wasn't going anywhere. And what I'll say is that I've tried to evaluate. I switched up the way I was fasting. I've switched up the carbs that I'm allowing in. I'm eating a couple of meals. I'm aiming for one meal at least every couple of days to be carnivore instead of keto, so that I have less carbs. And I'm trying to do the whole just kind of carb cycling with it. Not that I'm eating a lot of carbs, but so if my usual is 20 to 30, I'm trying to get to 10 on a day, just to kind of keep things moving. And I've also switched up my workout routines a couple of times, and that's actually another question, so I'll save the rest of that for later. But plateaus, ask my husband, they've kind of gotten me down a little bit lately, but I know that the weight loss is going to be, especially now, more of a, I'm looking long term here. This is not a quick fix. And I have hit my original goal when I started this. I hit it at about 9.5 months. We're just a couple of days away from 10 months now. And 2 weeks ago, I think, I hit my original weight loss goal. I have since added 3 5-pound increment goals, and then I'm going to reevaluate where I am at that point, and then we'll see what the future holds. Because again, I have to be careful. I don't want to be only seeing a number on a scale as a victory as someone with a history of eating disorders. All right, the next question is, do you use an alternative sweetener? What about honey or maple syrup? I know that those are both good foods, and they would probably fit into most people's healthy lifestyles. But for me, I am treating sugar personally, or things that turn to sugar or that my body is going to use as sugar, as an allergy that I have, because I don't ever want to go back there again. So I only have one that I will use, and I try to keep it with me at all times. I use the brand Truvia, and this one is, let me see, it says on the container here. This one is stevia with erythritol, and so those are the only two that I will use. One of the reasons why I use the Torani zero sugar, because they do have sugar-free. I don't use sucralose or any of those ingredients. This one has water, erythritol, natural flavors, which that term can be kind of iffy because you can disguise a lot of things with that. Stevia, leaf extract, xanthan gum, citric acid, monk fruit, that's another one, monk fruit extract, but that's like way down the line on there, and salt. So this one, it doesn't have colors. Yeah, this is the most natural that I can find. And I will also say that you can't find these everywhere. For me specifically, where I am, I can find this at World Market and World Market only, or I have found it on Amazon pretty regularly, but we try to get it at World Market because it's a little bit cheaper, and then I don't have to worry about the expiration date. There's just a lot of things to get into with that. But I'm just very careful with the sweeteners of choice. I do not use any of the artificial sweeteners. It's a no. And I rarely drink anything with carbonation in it, but if I do like crave some kind of soda, I only use the Zevia brand, which is found pretty easily, in my opinion, at least in my area. But again, that's kind of a special occasion thing and not a usual thing for me. All right, so Angelica asked if I have a workout plan that I would like to share. So I have used 3 different workout plans. I personally prefer to work out at home. I work all day, I come home, and the first thing that I do is do my workout, and then I'll eat dinner after my workout, and that's when I start my fast. That's my schedule. That's the way I like to do things. I'm a creature of habit. But I have done 3 workout plans from home, and the first one is Les Mills, and I did it on demand. So they have classes out there in different health clubs. I discovered them through Beachbody years ago when they did a collaboration with them, and I really love their workouts because they have everything synced to the music. The music is really good music, and I don't know, it just kind of keeps you motivated. The problem with that is I don't prefer that method. As much as I love their workouts, the trainers are really awesome and they make working out a lot of fun, I don't like lots of reps with lighter, and it's not that they're light weights, but lighter reps, faster weight. I was having fun and moving my body, but I wasn't seeing the results that I thought I should be seeing for lifting weights several times a week. And I feel like it's also limited in what you're moving with your body. There's no work for your inner thighs. I just feel like you're kind of missing some body groups overall. It's still a great fun workout and it's better than doing nothing. And I also love doing the like kickboxing workouts with them, but I don't want to stack up all of these subscriptions that I'm paying for every month. So I ended up leaving that one and moving on to something that was new to me. And her name is Kathy, and I moved to her on demand. She's kind of old school. She's got like years and years, like some of her videos I saw were really, really dated, but she has a program that is just a couple of years old, and it's called STS2 or 2.0 or something like that. And it's the idea of less reps, heavier weight. And she has a really great program. The complaint that I had with hers is that all the workouts were about an hour, and you can shorten them to only do like your biceps once, but then I felt like I was missing something there. But I followed the whole program. It goes from your whole body to just days where you're doing biceps. And I'm like, why can't we get away with not having an hour of biceps? It was kind of making me crazy. But she covers everything. You work the muscle until exhaustion. You work different ways. There's lots of really neat moves that I hadn't done before. She's definitely very thorough. But I felt like I wasn't getting enough out of a half-hour workout, but I felt like I didn't want to commit to an hour workout every single day. And then it was causing me to feel like I needed to work out every day. And again, with a history of eating disorders and over-exercise, I felt like I had to put the brakes on that. I also felt like there were some times where I didn't want to keep buying different equipment, and I had to buy some things to do hers, and then I still didn't have everything I felt. And so I decided that I was just gonna kind of move on. But I do suggest her workouts. She's very detailed, and it wasn't as fun as Les Mills, but it was a good workout. I ended up going back to the workout that I did years ago when I lost weight after our 6th child was born. And it's like an oldie but goodie, but I will tell you that nothing has changed my body at home like this particular workout. And it also came from Beachbody, which now is just like Body. And I think that they did with the whole like creepy feeling you have to have a coach, and it was just kind of there's still some feelings that I have about them, but this workout is the best that I have found so far. And it is from Chalene Johnson, and she did like Turbo Jam and Turbo Fire. I used to do her workouts years and years ago, but she did one I don't know, I guess 2009, 2010, called Chalene Extreme, and it is slow, heavy weights instead of just heavy weights, low reps. It's also, you do them slowly so that you completely exhaust your muscle just from those 12 reps or whatever. So she has a program that lasts 90 days. I've done those rounds over and over and over again years ago. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to do it again, because like I know everything she says in every single workout. And I was like, I don't want to go back to the same thing. So I tried other things, but I felt like I wasn't getting the results that I knew that I had gotten from her routine. So this is I just finished week 1 of the first workouts. So there's 3 different like series in the workouts, and I just finished week 1 of that. So each one has 4 weeks, and I can already tell a difference, and I'm excited. But I am trying to not worry as much about what I do on non-lift days. I get 2 15-minute breaks, which I just found out about recently, but I get 2 15-minute breaks at work. So I've tried to go at 10 and 2 and go walk on the treadmill at work for 15 minutes. They also have like a weight machine there, and I don't know, it's open where people could be walking by you, and I'm like, I don't know how to use most of these things, but I do remember from high school gym that I picked up extra. It was like weights and aerobics or whatever. There was a leg press machine I remembered there, and that is I'm really good with lower body. I have a lot of strength there. So I decided that I was going to use the leg press machine. So walking for now is my big thing. I do some abs. I like to do kickboxing. And then there's a flexibility day. I need to get that in at least once a week. So I just kind of break it up over the week and do weightlifting 3 times a week, and then just keep walking as my main focus, and then pick up the other things as I can during the week, because I don't want to only ever be working out. All right, how do I handle cravings when I'm extra hungry? Cycle changes with my appetite. So I don't really get cravings anymore, and I think that that's one of the great things about doing this diet. I definitely have moved away from, oh, that's comfort food, or I feel like I need this, or, you want ice cream or you want chocolate. I don't feel that way anymore. And I don't have cravings. I'm either hungry or I'm not hungry. So that's a really good thing. I just feel like that's really stabilized my eating. I see food as fuel now instead of all the things that I did with food that weren't good. I was never an overeater. That's one thing I will give myself. I never ate more than I needed to eat. I just wasn't eating the best things to fuel my body. So extra hungry, I can definitely tell you with that one. So this particular program that I'm in, the first month you're doing compound exercises where you're lifting and you're also doing something else. So either you're lifting your upper body and you're doing squats or lunges or bowler lunges. It's a lot. So because you're working 2 major muscle groups at the same time, you're super hungry every time that you do that workout. So the next day, I am so hungry. So I've just been making sure that I'm getting adequate fat, and then also getting a little bit more food in general. So if I usually have 2 eggs, I have 3 eggs. And so that's basically how I handle that. Just a little bit extra food. For the cycle change, I've mentioned before in other videos, I am in perimenopause, and it's been almost 3 months since my last cycle. So I can only remember in October how absolutely famished I felt the week before that period. I felt weak. I felt like I wanted every carb that I saw. And I'm thankful that I found a book called Fast Like a Girl. And I, again, don't follow everything that she teaches. But what she did teach that I really latched on to is that your body's needs as a woman change during your different hormone phases. So I found from reading her book that there was a reason for me to feel that way, and that particular hormone needs something different than what I was giving it. So that's the week where you can not lift as heavy. That's the week where you should probably take another rest day or so. And that would be the day if you were gonna do a keto-ish, where you would maybe eat some red potatoes or sweet potatoes or something like that, adding something that's normally not something that would be part of your diet. So I have a couple of times eaten mashed potatoes, I've eaten red potatoes a couple, and I'm talking about like this many times in the last like 3 months. This is how many I've eaten them. And one of them was Christmas, and it was a special occasion. And I wasn't eating pie, I was eating mashed potatoes, and it was just a little bit. But anyway, I would say if you're eating keto and you feel like you're not in danger of completely ditching the program by eating a couple of bites of carrot or roasted potatoes, that would be something, because that's the time when your body is kind of craving that carb. And it's the time of month that I cried over someone eating a cookie. And this was like, I don't know, this was pretty early on, but I remember specifically feeling like my life was ending because I was never going to eat a cookie again, and or at least that kind of cookie from Crumble. And I was just so sad. And like 2 days later, I started my period, and I'm like, I don't understand still. And then I read this book, and I was like, oh, okay, that's why I felt that way. But I think that just listening to my body and knowing those things now, I listen. So if I'm like freaking out and I feel like I have to have something like that, then I'm gonna eat a couple of bites of roasted potato, or I would even eat like a baked potato. I haven't, but it would be something that I would do, because in my mind, if your body is really, really craving that and it's for a reason, like with your cycle, then a potato is not the same as a candy bar. So I'm gonna eat the natural carbier thing and just get back to business the next day. What about supplements? Okay, so I do use the electrolytes, like I said, and I will have a couple of these things that are maybe harder to find in an Amazon list. But I don't, my husband likes for me to take vitamin D and zinc and all of that, but it doesn't happen that often. I do take something that, it's funny because I heard about it in keto videos that had been in like articles from years ago. It's called berberine, something like that. It is a natural herb, some kind of root, I think, and it supposedly helps keep your insulin stable when you eat. I've seen a lot of people recently talking about it's being like some kind of miracle, something that's going to make you lose weight, like those injections that people get. But I'm here to tell you that that's not true, and it's not why I started taking it. It was to keep my insulin levels regulated when I eat. So I think that it's supposed to just help that spike. Fat is the thing that spikes the least, and then protein, and then after that, your carbs. So when you're eating keto, your focus is supposed to be mostly your fat, then your protein. But if you're eating the protein, there is that little bit of spike of your insulin. And so I take one of those pills once a day with food to just try to combat how high that insulin spike might be. And I can't tell you for sure if it works or not, because I don't use a glucose monitor. I'm not wearing one of those continuous glucose monitors. I just go with how I feel. I know what my blood sugar raising feels like now, and I don't know, I just do it. There's a lot of them out there. I did try one on Amazon. It made my stomach hurt really, really bad. I get one from the Vitamin Shop. It's like their brand, and it's not insane, the price, and I don't know. I don't do it every day, but I try to remember to take it at lunch at work. I will say that I do use castor oil now. It's one of those rabbit trails that I've gone down with eating this way, which is kind of crazy, but you're just like, oh, and then there's this and there's that. I will say that with a keto and fasting lifestyle, sometimes you find yourself a little bit constipated. And so I use castor oil in a couple of different ways. I use it every night on my skin as part of my skincare routine. And I also put just a little bit of castor oil in my belly button and kind of rub it around, and I get up and use the bathroom in the morning. So I can tell a difference when I do it and when I don't do it. So these days, most nights, I try to do it. But that would be maybe not a supplement, but you have to be careful. I'll put the castor oil that I purchase on Amazon in that whole grouping as well, because you have to be really careful about what kind you choose, the kind of bottle it's in. I mean, it's not cheap, but if you think about how much money people spend on skincare, it's still not crazy. It's like $28 or something like that. And it's a ginormous bottle that's gonna last me a while. All right, somebody had asked if I was a creature of habit and how did I combat being a creature of habit when I switched everything entirely. And I am 100% a creature of habit. I've eaten the same breakfast for a year or more at a time. I just like things kind of being the way that they are. It was just, at first it was kind of jarring because I was always doing the same thing. And so it was kind of difficult. You just have to make new routines. You just have to make new habits. And that's easier said than done, but you just have to go through it. What about your go-to food, your go-to meals, your go-to swaps? So we eat about the same thing all of the time, but I won't say that that's a downfall for keto or it's because of keto, because quite honestly, we were always in some kind of food rut no matter what we were eating. We always eat a bunch of grilled food in the summer, and we always eat a lot of crock pot food in the winter, and we always just kind of fall into the same meal plan or similar meal plan no matter what we're doing. So we just eat a lot of the same things. We eat a lot of eggs, we eat a lot of bacon. I am fortunate enough that we have this keto bistro near us, and they do sell some things that kind of make keto living feel more normal. And you don't have to worry about what you're purchasing because they know what the bad ingredients are that we're trying to avoid, and nothing that they carry has those. So there's this sourdough bread that we always order, and I think that you can actually get it shipped from Florida. It's from a bakery, Sammy's, I think, Samis, and it's not inexpensive, but I'll eat a piece of that bread if I'm on a day where I'm just trying to get to the 30 net carbs. But on days where I'm trying to do a little less, I'll just eat an extra egg and then leave out the bread. But we always make sure that that bread is buttered with grass-fed butter, and it's only butter or natural things like bacon grease, lard, all of that. So we eat a lot of eggs, we eat a lot of bacon. Just make sure that you're reading your labels again. We buy really good quality free-range eggs. We make sure that our bacon is nitrate-free and doesn't have added sugars in it. Just make sure you're reading the ingredients. We eat a lot of burgers, and like last night, we had burgers with mushrooms and Swiss cheese and some salt, and that was it. I didn't have it on a bun or bread or anything like that. And then salad, we eat a lot of salad. I am doing a healthy keto, which isn't dirty. I do have a lot of vegetables in my daily lineup, so lots of salads, lots of fatty ranch dressings, or olive oil, that kind of thing. We eat a lot of broccoli, we eat a lot of cauliflower. I really like pork chops. Today is Sunday when I'm filming this, and we had our family Sunday dinner. And so there's this recipe that we like to use a lot, and it's It's Italian beef. And so you just take some roasts. We get ours at Sam's Club, and we marinate it in an Italian seasoned packet and olive oil and the juice of one of those pepperoncini jars. And you marinate that for, I don't know, overnight, throw it in the crock pot and cook it. And then I just ate that in a bowl with a slice of Swiss cheese over it. And then I had broccoli and cauliflower with a little bit of ranch dressing to dip it in. That was my lunch. Sunday is my feast day, so that's the day that I will eat 3 times. So this morning I had 2 eggs, 2 pieces of bacon, 1 piece of keto toast, which is nothing, again, it's nothing like the stuff that you're going to find in the store. It's really good quality, made with olive oil. If you have anything like that in your area, I suggest you go with that or not do the keto stuff regularly, because the stuff that you can find in regular grocery stores is not the greatest quality and they don't have the greatest ingredients. But that's what I had for breakfast, and then I had my coffee that is keto friendly. And then for lunch I had that for the Italian beef, and then I will eat again before we go to church tonight to be my feast day, and it's going to be some scrambled up eggs with some cheese. I'll probably eat 3 with a little sprinkling of cheese, and it's just kind of a messy scrambled egg, and then I'll either have bacon or sausage with that, and that will be probably all that I eat, because on days where I feast, I don't eat really a lot more food. It's just kind of not the fasting hours to kind of switch things up. After lunch today, I did have a little bite of chocolate. We do buy the Lily's chocolate. I think this one was the salted caramel. On the nutrition facts, there is a good bit of carbs. When you take out the dietary fiber, it comes down pretty significantly. But I did notice that it said that it was like 2.5 servings per bar. And I only take like one little row of chocolate at a time. So that gets me like, I think it gets me like 5 or 6. So I'm not even eating, I'm probably eating half of each recommended serving. So again, it's not something that I'm freaking out about. So that was a little treat that I ate after lunch, and I did that on my feast day. We also go to that Keto bistro a lot. I'm very thankful that that's in our area, because we can go and pick anything off of the menu and know that it's not going to throw us out of ketosis. And they even have treats, and they are very careful with the ingredients that they put in those. They're only using the good sweeteners. They're not using anything that's going to be bad for you. I asked the other day, they even fry their Brussels sprouts and their fried foods in lard. So I would assume that there's other places kind of like that out there, but this is just a small place near me, and it's been great. If you have something like that in your area, definitely go support that small business. I feel like otherwise there's kind of just a lot of subtractions. When I first started, I think that I ate a little more of the whole like swaps. Rebel ice cream is really good. My husband really likes that. I don't find myself feeling the need to have that kind of stuff very much. Maybe as the weather starts to warm up this spring or summer, maybe I'll want to eat that at the end of the day. But I think that a lot of the snacky feeling was for snack time after dinner before I started this journey. And since I don't do that anymore, I just don't find the need to do any of that. This is getting really long. I'm sorry. Tips for staying on plan. I think I already answered that one. How I stay motivated. Once I'm in something, I don't have a problem self-motivating. It's why I work out at home instead of a gym, because I don't need that. And I know that that's going to be different for everybody, but I'm motivated to keep my workouts because that's what I'm doing. And I'm motivated to do what I'm doing with my diet because I know how I felt before I started and I know how I feel now. And it's not all about weight. Weight's definitely a good thing, but I just know that I have energy and I feel healthier. And even if I have 25 pounds more that I want to lose, even when I look in the mirror with the clothes that I have on now, and there are things that I don't like, I am able to tell myself, you're doing the very best that you can, and you are, in this. And I can be pleased with what I see because I know that I'm taking care of my body. Quick breakfast and snacks. Yeah, it's just eggs and bacon, and I don't snack. So there's that. I will say that my lunch is kind of I don't know. We do have a cafeteria, and there is very rarely a keto-friendly kind of food choice there. But sometimes they'll have like a baked chicken or a steak salad, or they had pork chops once and they didn't have any kind of breading or sugar in them, so I did eat that. But I generally go to the salad bar and get salad, and I don't really like their grilled chicken, so I will often bring some full-fat Greek yogurt with a little bit of lemon juice in it and a few berries, and that I get my protein from that. And then I put some veg on and bring ranch dressing from home and all of that. Sometimes my husband brings me something from that keto place that's really close to where I work. It's not close to home so much, but if my husband's out running errands, he'll bring me something from the keto place. So those are the best days, actually, when I get something from the keto store. Let's see. What sweets would I get? What sweets when I get cravings? I think I covered that already. How have I refrained so long? I think kind of tricking myself out at the beginning, knowing that it was a 2-week challenge. And then I've just felt so good that I've been like, oh, well, I'll do it for a little while longer. And then it turned into, well, my husband went to the doctor and asked, when should we stop? And the doctor said, don't ever stop. There's no reason to. And so now I'm just like, okay, this is my life now. And I don't feel like I'm missing anything And in moments where I feel like, oh, am I never going to get that favorite, whatever, I'll find something that's close enough that is keto friendly that will get me there. I guess it's like I said, comfort food isn't so much a thing anymore, although I will tell you, I do a really fun dance when I get ribeye. My relationship to food is completely different now. And so, I mean, it's been almost 10 months and I've definitely developed new habits, and my body has adjusted, my mind has adjusted, my relationship with food is just nothing like it was before. Ingredients, lifestyle. Okay, so I will say, I think that is the last one. Yeah, I think that's the last one. And I can do a follow-up video to this as well. But what I will tell you that this has kind of become a rabbit hole, and I don't want to be like long-winded on this part, but reading ingredients, labels, all of that has definitely led to, okay, so now we no longer just pick up any body wash at the grocery store. We're using bar shampoo. We're using more natural aluminum-free deodorant. Things are just changing. I wear barefoot shoes now, and that started with needing a new pair of sneakers and researching shoes to wear while you're lifting weights specifically. And barefoot shoes have 0 heel drop, and it keeps you really stable for when you're lifting weights. And now I don't wear regular shoes ever at all. Like, it's only barefoot shoes. I know that there's a lot of different brands out there. So far, I have only used Xero Shoes and Splay shoes. Both of those are in the US. I feel like Splay are really cute and they make me feel the most like a Converse shoe, but they don't have like much padding at all, which is the point of barefoot shoes. And the Xero shoes, they feel like they protect my feet just a little bit more, but they're not as cute. And so I use them both. There are some other brands that I would really like to try that are out there, but I've kind of been leery just for sizing purposes about purchasing shoes that are not coming from the United States, because I worry about if I have to return them, like how long is that going to take? So there are a few brands that I have wanted to try, and then there's a brand called Lems, and I really almost bought a pair of theirs the other day. Most of theirs aren't barefoot shoes, but they do have some barefoot shoes available, but they have kind of weird sizing. I have between an 8.5 and a 9, and their sizing is only in half that I can tell for their tennis shoes, and I'm like, it's weird. I mean, it's anyway. But barefoot shoes, I will tell you, has been another amazing change, because I suffer with plantar fasciitis and a lot of foot pain, and I was always told to get the thicker cushioning, the most supportive, and barefoot shoes is the complete opposite of that. There's no arch support. There's barely any cushioning. There's nothing for your heel, cushiony, none of that. And this is the healthiest my feet have ever felt, and the least painful I've ever had my feet feel when I'm doing things like standing in long lines for a concert and all of those things. I can't believe how differently my feet behave in these shoes. So that has been like mind-blowing to me. It's completely the opposite of everything I've been told, but I now know that, like going back to a life of sugar, I'm not going back to regular shoes. We're even buying natural laundry detergent. It's just a whole huge lifestyle shift. And somebody else asked me, and I kind of just said something about that, how long am I going to do this? And this is just my life now. I don't see any reason to go back to do anything differently. I've only seen more and more positive changes as I've gone along. And what I will say is, when I get to where I think my weight needs to be, whenever that is, I will tinker with how many carbs I'm bringing in, so that I will stop the progression of weight loss, or maybe I'll fast less. And I can see some things coming back into my life. You know, I'll have a piece of carrot in a roast every now and then. So I can see myself raising my carb limit a little bit by adding an extra bite of that here or there. But what I know is not going to happen is sugar coming back into my life, because it's really bad. And I couldn't see it, and I couldn't see my life without it before I started, and now I can't ever see it being back in my life again. I'll end this video by saying where I am now as opposed to where I started. And so I started this journey at 256 pounds, and I was 100, oh gosh, I thought I would remember this. I think it was 187.6 this morning. No, 187.4 pounds this morning when I got up. So almost 70 pounds down now. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I do keep photos there because sometimes it's really hard. When you go several weeks and you've only lost a pound and you think you're not making any progress, you have photos that you can look back on and you're like, holy crap, that's a lot of weight to lose. And I should have written down my measurements. I've only measured myself in 4 different spots. So my bust, my natural waist, around my belly button, and my hips. I'll flash on the screen here how many inches I have lost in those 4 places because I was a dummy and didn't write it down. And then I went from a tight size 20 in pants, I'm now in a 14. And my tops, because my chest was so large and my belly, I was in a 2 or 3X in most shirts, and I now am wearing larges. So I feel like that is a huge accomplishment in all of the areas. And again, it's not all about the number on the scale, but it's nice to see the scale move along with what your body is feeling and saying. So overall, this last 10 months have just been great. I do plan to do a year update just because it's such a milestone, a year without sugar. And you probably won't see me here talking about that until then. But if you want to follow me on Instagram, again, I don't try to do a bunch of updates because it's my planner account. But that's part of the thing that I'm planning about now. This lifestyle it's just been great. I'm really thankful to have accidentally stumbled into this almost 10 months ago while I was watching YouTube one morning eating oatmeal and very sugary coffee. So if you have any other questions that I didn't address in this video, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I'm happy to answer them for you. And then if you have watched this video because you are hoping to get on a journey without sugar yourself, I'm always here to support you. If you want to pop in on Instagram, I'm always happy to DM back and forth and kind of be your cheerleader. You can do this 100% and it's definitely worth it. And if you are considering it, I don't think that you should wait for a Monday or anything like that. Just jump in and do it. I think that you'll be very happy with the decision that you've made, and it's better to start now than to look back and say, oh, 4 months ago I thought about doing that and I could be so much farther than I am now. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you are new around here and interested in seeing mostly planning content and some updates about my health and weight loss journey, please consider subscribing. Thanks so much as always for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye guys.